Good morning, everybody. It's Mary at Yard Art RS. How are y'all? I am going to show you how to paint this super cute crow and bow on a pumpkin. Now, this thing has been sitting out here in my shop for a little bit, so I'm having to Windex it because Windex is going to make sure that it gets all that junk off of there and my paint doesn't separate. So, hope you guys are doing well. It's Friday. Yay, 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 yay. I'm going to show you how to paint this guy. It's a crow and a bow on a pumpkin. So, I went ahead and Windexed it because it's been sitting here for a little while in my shop. And I have already base coated it. I started with 2 coats of primer orange. Let it, 1 coat of primer orange, let it dry, 1 coat of primer orange, let it dry. And then, of course, I base coated all the colors. This is primer orange, light yellow, light purple, reindeer brown, black, and of course my green. Lou, how are you doing? So glad to see you. I am going to show you guys how to paint this today. It's super, it's going to go pretty fast because there's not a whole lot to it. But I think it's a good example. I'm going to show you by the end of this video. You're going to see how much orange I have on my pumpkins. Hey, how are you, Belinda? I'm so glad y'all are here. And I don't know, y'all, how many pumpkins I've sold. I don't know, over the years, a bazillion it seems like. And over the years, I've just kind of really developed what I really like as far as the colors and the color schemes and what it all looks like. So it might not be to your taste because I go real bright and almost gaudy, but that's, to me, it's yard art. And so you really want it to be seen from a distance. And so a lot of my colors are really with that in mind. And so what I do on the inside, like the eyes and the nose, I base coat that a light yellow, and then I shade it a shading yellow, right? So then you'll see in just a minute, I'm gonna come around this with shading orange. So by the time I get my yellow, my light orange, my shading yellow, and my outline orange, this thing is gonna be brighty, 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 brighty. So if you like bright, you came to the right place. Hey, Mary Kay, how are you? I'm glad you're here. I am, I've been this week is just the sneak peek, y'all. It's a tremendous amount of work to get all of those samples. Well, when we first started, we didn't do samples that were painted for a sneak peek, and it's just because we just didn't have the bandwidth and the know-how at the time to get it all together. So now that we started doing that, and I think it's the right thing to do, because you've got to cut. We're used to cutting, 10 or 15 of one thing, and you let that machine go. But whenever you're cutting just a sample, you got to cut one of this and one of that and one of this and one of that and one of this and one of that. It's a lot more work to sit there and babysit that machine that way. Then, of course, you've got to paint each sample individually. And again, we're used to painting 10 or 15 or 20 or whatever at the same time. Hey, Debbie, how are you? Debbie, if you don't mind, would you share to the Academy and to the group? If you don't mind, Debbie always takes care of me in that way. So when we're doing that sneak peek, it's worth it, but it's a lot of work. So back to the pumpkin. So I've got my light yellow, my shading yellow, I got my light orange, and now I've got my shading orange, right? And so what I like to do is I'll come around here, around that eye with some shading orange. So by the time, I come in here and I've got my shading orange, my shading yellow, my light orange, I've got a lot of stuff there. And that's kind of my style. Y'all, hold on, let me make sure. Love watching you. Wanted to ask if you use a primer on the MDO. Lou, I do. A couple things about that. Number one, all of our paint is paint primer in one. And honestly, if you go get paint at any of your major stores nowadays, you can ask them to make sure, but so many of them will have, it really does have paint and primer in one. In the old days, you had to get a primer, and sometimes you had to tint it and all of that. But nowadays, with the technology, so many of them offer paint primer in one. Now, just ask them to make sure. But yes, we do primer. meaning I put 2 coats of light orange on here. I did not use a separate primer product, if that makes sense. I just used our light orange, which happens to be paint primer in one. So hopefully that makes sense. Thank you, Debbie. I see that you shared that. I appreciate that. So by the time we get all this orange on here, and the yellows too, for that matter, you're gonna see something really bright. But there is, you know, must be something to it, because like I said, I don't know how many of these I've sold over the years, but y'all, of course I've been doing it a long time, that's a lot of it, but I've sold a lot of pumpkins. Part of that is that pumpkins are just popular and people will buy them, you know, but part of it is you've got to make them look good too. You can't just put something out there that's, you know, that's not desirable. It has to be something that's attractive. And in my case, I go for bright. That's just the way I do it. So I've got a lot of color on this guy, meaning I started with that light purple, right? I'm sorry, light orange. But then I come in here and I put yellow, and then I put shading yellow, and then I put shading orange, and then you'll see in just a minute, I'm gonna do the red orange, which I sometimes call outline orange, but it's really number 19 red orange, I think. And notice I'll kind of come out here and I'll just kind of randomly put in some brush strokes. All right, nothing patterned about it, just kind of putting them in wherever I think there's enough negative space that I can do that and make it look good. So I'm gonna come up here. Y'all, it's Friday. Yay, 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 yay. I don't know if y'all feel that way, but I do. And it's just, it's been a good week, so I'm not complaining, but it's been a challenge, I can tell you that. We got a lot of stuff done, so that part's been good. But I think a lot of it, y'all, and we've done pretty good, but the heat, and it has not been as hot as it normally is, so I really can't complain, but it's still been hot. You know, it's August, you're in Texas. It's just the way it is. So we got through the sneak peek, and those of you that are in the Academy, I did send out an email this morning. If you happen to be looking for templates, I sent out that email this morning for those in the Academy, so make sure you check that out. So I'm going to let this dry some, but I still have to outline it and highlight it. But you can see already I have quite a bit of different colors on here, and that's really what I like. All right, so let's do a little bit of, what are we gonna do next, y'all? Let's go ahead and do some of this green down here on these leaves. Now, if you happen to not have a green, you can always take that Christmas green and put a little black with it if you don't have a shading green. If you're in a pinch, you might not like it as much as, you know, the shading green like what I have right here, but hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Now I'll probably just do that. I'm not gonna put a lot of detail on the leaves. The leaves are really not the focal point. I put more detail and emphasis on the pumpkin part because I really think that's probably the more focal point. And I've just got this shading green. I'm just going around here. I'll probably do that. All right, let's do some purple. Love purple, y'all, love purple. What do y'all got planned this weekend? What am I doing? Let's see. I don't think I've got anything really planned. I wouldn't mind driving down to Kima and maybe having some seafood. We'll see if I get to do that, y'all. But I really don't have a lot planned, so probably gonna take a nap. That's a good thing. And I'm debating, any of y'all have a Kindle? I'm debating about buying a Kindle. I used to read a lot. I haven't read a lot in the last 5 or 10 years because I've been so busy with the business, but I really wouldn't mind getting back into reading. So I might be looking online to see if I'll get me a Kindle. Like in the early days when he and I were first married and we'd go somewhere and we'd go on vacation, I would take 10 books because if it was a week's vacation, I might read 10 books. Of course, lagging 10 books around the airport is not good. That's why I was thinking about the Kindle. But I used to have a Kindle a long, long time ago, but I haven't had one in a long time. So I'm thinking I might be on the shopping, Amazon or whoever it is, or what do you call it? Who's the other one? Barnes & Noble might be the place to go for that. But I really wouldn't mind kind of taking up reading again. Who knows what I'll read though, y'all. I'll probably end up reading something that has to do with painting. Oh, it's ridiculous, right? All right, so I'm putting some purple on here. And then I just kind of come back and do some brush strokes on there. Let's do it up here. This is one of the patterns that we just came out with, one of the templates, I guess, or designs. And I really like it. It's kind of simple, really, but also a lot of times, y'all, simple is best, I think. It's easy to get stuff complicated because, you know, in design, you can, oh, I want to put this in there, and oh, I want to put that in there. But then it takes more time to paint it. And sometimes just a good design is simple. Not necessarily you have to put a whole bunch to it. Okay, so I've got that. Now let's do some shading brown. My stalk is reindeer brown. I base coated it in reindeer brown, y'all. And so let's do some shading brown on here. And y'all can see I keep doing this to this brush. It's a fairly new brush. And so once I wash it out, when you wash it out, all those things stick together, the bristles stick together. I want those bristles to come apart. So I just kind of sit here like that, put some pressure on it, make those bristles come apart. All right. Yeah. There we go. Something like that. And then I would probably just do this. That's it. That's it. Y'all see how easy that is? Now, one thing I did forget, and I probably am not going to get to show you the whole thing, but I should have done this in the very beginning. I always paint my crow all black just because it's easier to do it that way. Let me turn this down where y'all can see a little bit better. There you go. And so I know I'm going to have a white eye, and I usually put a yellow beak on him, and there's no way you're going to get yellow to cover over that black. There's just no way. I don't care what yellow you use. So I'm going to put a lot of white on here. That's going to take a while to dry, y'all. After it's dry, I'll come back and put a little shading yellow on there, or a little bit of yellow. Who knows? Something like that. There you go. Now, while I have this out, I could go ahead and just do this. Got my wings, and just kind of come over here. Do something like that. Yeah, something like that. He's a crow. He ain't supposed to be purdy, y'all. So I'm going to now get our red orange. So remember I was talking a little bit earlier about how much I like to put a lot of color on my pumpkins. Let's go back to the pumpkin. Got me some red orange here, y'all. I might have to put some water in this. Okay, let me water this a little bit. Okay, I got some water in there. And at this point, I'm outlining my pumpkin. So what that means is I'm taking the script liner, loading it with my red orange, and putting it in those CNC grooves or etches, if you will. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna kind of just come in here and do it like this. Like so. Just drag it into those CNC lines. Now I'm gonna pick this up and very lightly, I'm gonna kind of come around here. And see, just that extra little stroke puts a lot of paint in there and just gives it a little bit of personality. I'm gonna come back here, like so. And again, I'll just come very, very lightly. And I'm not worried about trying to make that line exactly symmetrical. I just kind of get a little bit wispy and crazy with it to give my pumpkin some personality. Okay, so you go over here. Y'all, I'm gonna show my age. I don't know how many of you remember. There used to be a lumber yard. I think they were a chain called Furrows, F-U-R-R-O-W-S. Now that's been, oh, they probably went out of business 20 years ago. But back in the day, I would always go over there because they had this orange that was almost like what you see right here that they carried on the shelf. And I couldn't find it anywhere else. And then, of course, when Furrows went out of business, which, y'all, that's a long time ago. I can't even remember. Then I had a hard time finding a really deep orange because it turns real red. And this has got some red in it. But once you get that light orange, the shading orange, and then this red orange on there, you got a lot of color going on. And then I just kind of, on these up here, I'll just kind of go up and down a little bit and make what I would call a dotted line. And then down here, I'm just kind of taking that brush and I am putting a little bit of a brush stroke on there. Ooh, I was supposed to do a dotted line there. Y'all got a little crazy with it, but that's okay. I'm gonna come in here around that shading orange and very, very lightly kind of drag this brush through there. Let's see. Yeah. Who doesn't love pumpkins, y'all? I think part of the reason here in the South we love the pumpkin thing so much is it's the promise of weather that's possibly milder. It doesn't mean it will be. So everybody I always look forward to football season. I'm not really a fan, but my husband is. And I always know football season means it's gonna start out hot, but eventually it's gonna cool down. I'm gonna come over here. Let's see. Okay, so I've got my CNC line and I'm just taking that red orange paint and covering that CNC line. That's all I'm doing. Pick it up and kind of back off on the pressure and come around here like so. And then I'm gonna follow just that little shading line that I have, or that little shading brush stroke that I had. I'm gonna come over here like so. And I'm just dragging that paint. Just dragging it. Okay, go over here. All right, I think the rest of it, y'all, gonna be in black. Let's see. Let's get the black out. Well, I can't say that. Y'all know me, I've always got to do a shading red around my reindeer brown and my shading brown. So I'm gonna do a shading red over here on this stalk. Do it to where you see a little better. There you go. Here we go. There's that shading red. It's almost black. It's got so much, I think somebody put some black in here, y'all. It's not supposed to be quite this dark, but that's all right. We're gonna let it go. It's all good. There we go. Now I'm ready for black. So let me get that out. I'm gonna put black on this bow, and I'm gonna put black on my leaves. And then y'all, it's nothing but highlighting. Y'all sure are quiet today. It's Friday. What the heck are y'all doing out there? Nobody's telling me anything that they're doing. It must mean some of y'all might be at work and have the mute on. I understand that. And I'm just going and taking that paint and making those brush strokes, covering the CNC line kind of with a wide stroke. Sheba. Y'all, we have, I don't know, did I tell y'all about Sheba? We have Sheba. That's enough. Go on outside. Sheba is a new addition to our family. She's very sweet. And she's basically Ellie Mae's playmate. I don't know if y'all know. Some of y'all do because I told everybody that was watching me. We lost one of our dogs. We had to put him down and broke my heart. And Ellie Mae went into a deep depression. That was her play toy. The dog that we had to put down. He was 13 and he had all kinds of problems. So we got Sheba, and her and Ellie have been doing really well. But y'all, Sheba's a puppy, so y'all know what that means. I have to have extra patience with Sheba sometimes. She is the sweetest, sweetest dog. Right, Sheba? I call her Sheba Weeba. She's my Sheba Weeba girl. We actually have a total of 6 dogs on this property. Technically, only 3 of them are mine. And then Paula lives on this property and she has 2. And Connie lives on this property and she has 1. So we're kind of dog people around here, I guess you could say. Alrighty, y'all, got that going. Like so. And then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna put some white, and I want you to see in about, I don't know, about a minute. It'll take me about a minute to put white on here. And in 1 minute, putting that white on here means that my piece just went from really looking nice to looking very eye-catching. All right, let's see. I gotta put some white. I gotta put some water in here, y'all. Now, for those of you in the academy, we haven't decided what we're gonna do this month. We usually do a Zoom call or an extra tutorial. Since we got some new folks, I was really thinking about just doing a thing on shading. I know we've done shading before, but that's the thing that a lot of people have trouble with. But if y'all can think of something different that you would prefer, if you're in the academy, let me know. You're like, if there's something you have been struggling with, or maybe we haven't done enough on it, definitely let me know. I'm just going in here, putting some white brush strokes just wherever I think I might need them. There's no such thing as too many or too few, and there's no such thing as the place to put them. I tell you what I do is I try to put them where there's no other brush strokes, right? I'm not gonna put this white on top of a black stroke, and I'm not gonna put it on top of my purple shading. So I just try to put it on anywhere that there's nothing there except just that base coat color. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. And move this around a little bit, okay? Let me turn it around this way. That way it'd be a better view for y'all. And I can always stand up. All right, so got this. There we go. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit more. Just watch what I do. So I've got this white, and I'm just putting the white in there, and I'm coming in here and doing like this. And again, there's no rhyme, no reason that it's a certain width or any of that. I just put whatever I think is gonna look good in my mind. Shh, Sheba, Ellie Mae. Maybe somebody had the nerve to walk outside. You know how animals are. If they can't alert you to would-be murderers and thieves, they don't think they're doing their job. All right, I see I missed a place right here. I gotta have a little bit more outline orange. And then this piece will be done, except for I do have to come back and put some yellow on that beak of the crow, but I'm not near ready for that because I just have so much white paint on there, it's got to dry. So I'm gonna put this up here so you guys can see it. Hold on. Okay. So you can just see how my leaves look. You can notice my brush strokes are far from perfect, y'all. They are not perfect at all. But that's okay, I don't worry about that. And then this is what this leaf over here looks like. And then I'm gonna turn this over where y'all can see my bird. Now I haven't done it yet, but after that white dries, on the beak, I will put some yellow and some shading yellow on there. And then let me put this up here where y'all can see this. See, my brush strokes are far from perfect, but they're still attractive. So you don't need to be perfect, you just need to be attractive. Well, thank y'all so much for joining me. I hope, hopefully you're gonna paint some pumpkins, because y'all, pumpkins is just something everybody goes crazy over. Customers like them, usually everybody likes them. And I know it's August, but y'all were already selling Christmas. So the time is up on us. So thank y'all for joining me. Ashley and I will be on next week. We will be doing, I'm not sure what, but over the weekend you'll see me change that Facebook cover photo. and it'll show you in that Facebook cover photo what we'll be covering next week. And today I emailed all the Academy members. You got your templates today, probably about an hour and a half ago. So make sure you check your email for those of you that are Academy members. And also please let us know what you would like us to do in the Academy this month as that little extra bonus thing we do. We'll see you guys later, and y'all have a great weekend. Bye-bye.